Hi, you've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, sweetie.
Dad? I told you not to call me at work.
But I need some style advice.
Just go to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, all men's styles are on sale now, up to 50% off, with shorts from $12, active from $8, and tees from $5 at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
$5?
Plus, the whole store is up to 50% off, so you can get amazing styles for everyone, even me.
Going to Old Navy now.
Oh, and make sure you get something for Father's Day, my treat.
Thanks.
High Fashion, Old Navy. Valid 6/12 to 6/20. Excludes clearance, gift cards, register lane items, jewelry today, and 2-day only deals.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sort of like some rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th, so the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.
What up? What's good, family? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on the War Sports Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts, Dev McMillan. I'm able with my dude, B. Austin. The NBA Finals was light for the Golden State Warriors, but we'll recap it and continue our discussion about legacy, super teaming, the whole nine. But before we do all that, make sure you join us right now in the JW Philly chat room at blogtalkradio.com/thewar room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly in about 30 minutes. We open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number, as usual, is 334-100012. We got a few quick shout-outs throughout the week. Be sure to check out the War Room Sports Podcast Network. On this network, besides our own podcast, The War Room, you can also listen to shows such as The Broad Street Line and The Broad Street Line Express with Roy and Chris. The Tape Hip Hop Show, Phil Maddock and Savai. If you like to eat, John Appetit will be your thing. With The Burtons, the No Look Podcast with Frank and Andy for all you NBA heads out there. Bump and Run with Robin Vandenberg. She's on the air for now, but I'm hearing rumblings that Bump and Run is about to go away. So make sure, even if it does, you can listen to archive episodes of Bump and Run if you're a NASCAR fan right here on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. And for all you TV and movie heads, we got On the Couch with the Wilsons and a whole lot more. So just visit warroomsports.com. Click on the WRS Podcast Network tab or go to our free mobile app on Android or iOS and click the network tab there. What's good, B? What's up this week, man? What's going on? About to get our DMC on. Shout out to Jimmy. You know, he's down in the South in the Confederacy trying to duck the Klan while he conducts this War Room Sports business. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm energized. The crazy part is, you know, the NBA season, which I actually complimented as being okay in comparison to the last 5 to 7 years or so, probably longer than that. The playoffs were absolute trash, and the finals, you know, though superstar laden and something that everybody anticipated and wanted to see, it was basically trash as well. So it's like, it seems like I'm energized because this is all over. Like, you get the garbage out of here. We'll recap it, talk about all the minutia that came out of it. But I'm energized because
with your life.
This thing of ours is over. What's up with you? How you feel about the whole situation?
I witnessed some blasphemy over the course of the last season, and it's gotten louder as of these finals, and it's just something that I got to get off my heart and soul. So later on in the episode, I'm pretty sure we'll arrive at it. Congratulations to the Golden State Warriors, the Dubs, man. You know, independent of anything or any analysis that'll come out of this episode, thing that we do here at the War Room, man, salute to those gentlemen for putting the effort forth to go back and get another one after they got knocked off the hill last year. Salute to everyone except for player number 35 because he's an idiot.
Yes, sir. The Golden State Warriors are champions again. And, you know, the way the league is set up right now, we could see at least 2 to 3 more years of this, possibly the same matchup. But, you know, LeBron's going to – and this is another question we're going to ask, you know, later in the show. Is LeBron going to retool, reload, or run? You know, all of them are, you know, pretty much against what I can speak for you. All of them are kind of against what you and I stand for, the way they kind of do it these days. But hey, that's the title of this episode, man. Grumpy Old Men, the Get Off of Our Lawn episode, and everybody who either is a millennial, and it's not. I'm not just going to blame it on millennials, because it's not like the whole generation just thinks the same, but the mind state, it just seems to be of a younger generation, because, and there's people from our generation who think the same way. Conformity is a bitch in today's society. So, you know, throughout the episode, you know, you'll know if we're talking to you or not. But we're going to get some things off of our chests. The only way we know how, basically, you know, this is our platform. This is what we're going to do. So until we get to that stuff, we got to let you guys know what happened this week, besides the Golden State Warriors making light work of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Light work!
And of course, While You're on the Grind is brought to you by DirecTV. If you like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including that NFL Sunday ticket, go to our website, WarRoomSports.com, click on the DirecTV logo. Order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, then you got to have DirecTV. All right. You know, I always laugh when I see the term IG model, but quote-unquote IG model, who's actually Antonio Brown's ex-girlfriend, from what I hear. Her name is Gina Frumes, I guess. She has about 1.9 million Instagram followers, 43,000 Twitter followers. She sent out a message on Sunday, and of course she later deleted it. It was to Antonio Brown. I wouldn't even say it's to Antonio Brown, because the tweet said, Antonio Brown's phone number, shoot him a text and say, return my belongings. And she put the dude's phone number on blast. If he's a smart man, I'm pretty sure that's no longer his phone number. And then she took it down. Where do you rank her on your petty meter from 1 to 10?
1 to 10, I'll give that a 8.75. It was pretty high. It was pretty petty. I mean, but that has, doing that on Instagram has less impact than it would have, let's say, you know, less than say 3 or 4 years ago. But still petty. Still very petty. Still very petty.
All right. And for everybody on the switchboard, I guess, I don't know. I think people don't be here for the open of the show, but it's a couple of calls on the line. We don't open the Digital Extreme Tech hotline until 30 minutes into the show. So I hope y'all got patience. About 3 people waiting. We will get to everybody, but it's not the time. You got about
hold the line, caller. Hold the line.
Either hold the line or call back in 20.
Nah, we want you to stay and listen with us. Stay and listen.
It's definitely petty. I mean, she did it, I believe, on Twitter. You know, I know a lot of young ladies.
Antonio Brown is one of those dudes, though. He's cut from that cloth. Like, he lives his life through the digital mediums and social media. So right. This is par for the course for him. He's an amazing wide receiver, if not the best in the game, definitely top 3. He doesn't have the panache and the I guess the charisma of, you know, an Odell Beckham. He doesn't have that same reach, because Odell has that ability to pull in the alternative lifestyle. Antonio's kind of corny. Like, you can tell he's trying to be cool, but he's really not cool. He's only cool because he's good at what he does, and that doesn't really make you cool. You know, that type of dude, but he overdoes it with the social media. So this is just one more social media incident in his life.
It's probably cool.
Yeah, but true.
Society.
Yeah, true. He fits in.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, this is just the world we live in. You know, if anybody wants to embarrass you, they're going to run the social media to embarrass you.
Oh, absolutely.
If anybody wants to get on your nerves, which I'm sure this would do because I'm pretty sure his phone did in that short period of time, and plus the fact that they have it screenshotted, you know, so taking it down means nothing until he actually changes his phone number. So I'm pretty sure that was a nuisance with all the calls and texts and everything blowing him up. I know a lot of young ladies that's fond of Antonio Brown, so I'm pretty sure he got a couple of box photos mixed in there as well. But for me, I go back to what I was saying at the beginning of the story, man. This whole IG model thing, it's just got to stop. Like, seriously, Instagram needs to exploit this. They need to take advantage of this. Instagram needs to open up a modeling agency since everybody and their mother is an IG model. So Instagram,
an IG bot.
Shout out to us. Cut the check for the idea when you blow it up. Yeah, I'll tweet my number like she did, Antonio. Hit us up. All right, so remember your man Bassey, Sebastian Telfair? He came into the league with much fanfare. I think he was on a cover or two when he was in high school, but he didn't take the LeBron route of actually living up to all the hype. He's in trouble again. I say again because he was arrested. What year was that? He was arrested back in 2007 after a traffic stop when police found a loaded gun in his vehicle. He pled guilty to criminal possession of a weapon and was sentenced to 3 years probation. I'm wondering where he was when he got caught with a weapon, because New York is not the place to get caught with a weapon.
Sir.
This time he was 100% in New York. He got arrested on a traffic stop in Brooklyn. Now, Sebastian Telfair is now 32 years old. He and another guy were arrested early Sunday morning after police found firearms, a semi-automatic rifle, ammo, a ballistic vest, and marijuana inside the vehicle. So it's kind of safe to say, being caught in New York like this, you're not going to get off with a slap on the wrist, a 3-year probation like you did the first time. What's up with your man Bassey, man?
It's a wrap. I mean,
pressure?
I don't even think it's pressure. I think his career is long over. He's one of those. Well, his NBA career is long over. He's one of those dudes that'll always be able to get, you know, a 6-figure check somewhere in Europe in a place that we've never heard of, as a draw because of his NBA, you know, acumen or whatever. But you know, as far as the NBA, that's done. And it sounds to me like he's hanging around with some of the old cronies in the neighborhood that maybe his brother kept him away from when he was coming up. But now that he's a grown man and, you know, still living a lifestyle, that's the other thing that's funny. Like, sometimes people still want to live like that street dude lifestyle, even though they not getting money in the street. They don't get money in the street, but they still want to represent it, be a part of it. And so, you know, it's one of those things where you can't be, there ain't no such thing as halfway crooks, scared to death and scared to lose. So, Sebastian, I think you're going to do a little time behind this. They may make an example of you.
Yeah, pretty much. All in all, you know, another sad story. It is crazy, like you say, like people still want to live the lifestyle. Like you get a little bit of coin from something that you do that's legitimate, but you want to act like you got that from something else, and you want to live the lifestyle like you got that from something else.
Right.
Slap on the wrist might not be coming this time, homie. You got pulled over in the wrong city to be riding like that. So Sebastian,
riding dirty, riding dirty.
All right, so pair of Michael Jordan's game-worn shoes just broke an auction record and sold for $190,373. Now, these shoes aren't even Jordan brand. These were the shoes that he wore in the 1984 Summer Olympics. It's an old pair of dirty Converse that look like they've been sitting in a basement or a garage for the past 30 years.
They look like they've come in contact with dog poo.
The signature on the side of them is like melting into the shoe. The shoestrings are yellow when they're supposed to be white. There's like where the sole meets the rest of the shoe, I guess where they glue around the tip of the shoe. I think that's where you're right, because it looked like it's glued with dog poo. And somebody just paid almost $194,000
for some dog poo.
They paid $194 for some Richarded shoes. It's crazy. I mean, it's Michael Jordan, the 1984 Olympics. But you know what kind of stuff? Like, somebody could buy a crib with that kind of money. You know.
Oh yeah.
I saw a breakdown, actually. Let me find that breakdown. Somebody said, what else you can buy with that kind of dough? A house, a Lamborghini, or 384 pairs of Big Baller brand O2s. Yeah, so they like the second highest sale of shoes in an auction were Michael Jordan's shoes that he wore. Now, these were Jordans. These were actually Jordans that he wore in the flu game in the 1997 NBA Finals. That the anniversary of that was actually 20 years ago this week. But shout out to Mike, still demanding that kind of money. Like, we live in a world, I know you talk about it all the time, man. Idolatry is just accepted. Yeah, it's encouraged. Like, you just bought this man's dirty ass, sat in a basement or garage for 30-year pair of shoes that look like they smell like death personified for $193,000. Why? So you can put them in a glass case and put them in your man cave somewhere.
In a lot of ways, Jordan is he's probably the largest long-term example of just where idolatry will get you. Most recently, I was looking at a report where last year in 2016, he still made more money off of the Jordan brand than all 6 of the top active NBA players, top selling, not more than them individually, more than them combined at $112 million, which sounds crazy, but it's still only 4% of the $2.8 billion that Nike raked in off of brand Jordan.
And the crazy part is the cats who are driving the sales of Jordan every year now have never even seen the man play.
Yeah, they've never seen him play. They don't even care. They probably like LeBron.
Yeah, they think everybody's better than him right now. But somebody along the way told you that it's cool to wear Jordans, and we live in such a society of followers. It doesn't even matter if I don't know this dude. You said Michael Jordan was a status symbol. I'm going to buy these because they are a status symbol. Now, you know, we're big sports fans. I'm a huge sports fan. I have collectibles, but most of my collectibles are things that I've actually collected along the way. You're not going to catch me at an auction buying something that I didn't experience, stuff like that. Like, I got jerseys. I got framed jerseys in my man cave, Michael Jordan being one of them. But that's just because I used to wear authentic jerseys. I used to have a Michael Jordan jersey. So, you know, now that I don't wear that kind of stuff anymore, throw them in a frame.
I
don't. But I'm not going to be auctioning. You know, somebody say we got a signed Michael Jordan jersey from his hangover game.
I'm gonna tell you, I got a signed Bradley Anderson jersey from 1996.
No, I'm gonna tell him I got a signed Devin McMillan T-shirt while I'm taking off my T-shirt and signing it right there. How much you got on it, homie? All right, but shout out to Mike, still getting it done, and speaking of status symbol shoe brands, and they already mentioned LeVar, the big baller brand, Lonzo Ball. I don't know. Foot Locker must have gave him a nice bag because we know LeVar doesn't want Lonzo to endorse anybody. He wants him to partner up. So I guess Foot Locker came up with that Billy. Anyway, he's in a Foot Locker ad for Father's Day. And when the ad started, it had other draft prospects in it, such as De'Aaron Fox, kid Tatum, Isaac, a couple of guys that are about to be drafted in the NBA draft next week, saying mushy stuff about fathers. You just love the fact that my father was there. And then Lonzo Ball comes on, a guy that we thought had no personality whatsoever. He comes on and starts talking about his dad, and it was hilarious because he was talking about things like the time your dad berates your high school coach right in front of the crowd for not getting me enough touches, and the time my dad went on First Take and engaged in a shouting match with Stephen A. Smith, and the time that he told everybody that I was already better than reigning league MVP Steph Curry. Like, when I saw this, and I think I saw it because you shared it, when I first saw this spot, I was cracking up because I really didn't think Lonzo, I didn't think he had a pulse as far as personality, comedy, that kind of stuff. But this hit the mark. It was great. I loved it. What were your thoughts on that?
Absolutely amazing. Salute to Lonzo. There's a part of the hater in me that still wants to see you fail, but that has to do with you and everything to do with your dad. But this, for me, was an amazing step in the right direction of you breaking the chains and shackles of, the light-skinned gorilla that handles you, a.k.a. your dad. And I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it and adored it, and salute to him. It was entertaining, and it showed a measure of self-awareness. Like, it shows that he knows what's going on out here. How couldn't he? He knows and he understands it, and he was able to poke fun at it and not take himself too seriously, man. I absolutely adored it, man.
I guarantee you, they showed him the spot and the writing. I guarantee you he asked his dad for permission.
No, he probably called him.
This is it. I mean, the quote afterwards when he was talking about it, he said, "My dad and I both love the humor of the spot, and I'm glad I got to have a little fun around the topic before going to the league." That was in the news release provided by Foot Locker. You talking about he probably called him. He probably was standing right next to him when he did it. Dad was probably behind the camera like, "Nah, I didn't like that tape. Do it over." But it was definitely a funny spot, and I do appreciate that. I mean, it's what people do. Like, you get into certain situations, stuff that's not serious. You have to. That's how you win some of the audience, by being able to make fun of it and being able to make fun of yourself. So whether or not this was genuine, it was a great PR move, in my opinion. And we'll see if he continues to go down that path.
I guarantee you that Foot Locker paid that bag, though.
Oh, yeah, Foot Locker paid some. I mean, not what he was asking the sneaker brands, but, LeVar probably got in their ear. Like, no, you're going to have to pay us more than you're paying these other guys to do this. He definitely got more money than everybody else who was in the spot. All right, so that's what happened this week, good folks, while y'all were on the grind. And we're going to give a couple of quick birthday shout-outs and then get to the phone lines and this NBA talk. We got to recap these NBA finals. You all saw what happened, but we got to talk about it because this is what we do. So the birthdays, of course, are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Offer dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions. You need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. And yes, financing options are available. So visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for discounted rates, be sure to tell them that War Room Sports.
My birthday! Yay!
All right. We got MLB birthday here. Pitching great. Still only 33 years old. Doesn't seem like he's the same guy right now, but shout out to Tim Lincecum on his 33rd birthday. NFL backup quarterback. He's been a starter before. Derek Anderson turns 34 years old.
Man!
Derek
He had
Anderson.
a spark when he started.
Didn't he get a shot with the Browns? Everybody get a spark.
Yeah,
shot
he got a shot with the Browns. He made a Pro Bowl. Actually, he made a Pro Bowl. Had a 4,000-yard passing season, which is something who the alleged greatest quarterback in Eagles history doesn't have. Derek Anderson had that.
Nice happy offense. Too. All right, he turns 34. Shout out to him. Michael Doliak. Yeah, remember Michael Doliak?
Yeah.
Michael Doliak is 40 years old.
Yeah, he was in a rap song, and I don't know why, but yeah, I remember it.
Somebody rapped about Michael Doliak? What were they
Yeah,
talking
they
about?
threw him in a verse.
Bad
Trash.
NBA center?
Yeah.
Like, what were they talking about? Something terrible. But shout out to Michael Doliak on his 40th birthday. Yankees pitching great Andy Pettitte, who I think was on that stuff, and as a matter of fact, I forgot. Andy Pettitte did admit that he
admitted to being on that stuff. You ain't have to think it.
Because he admitted it, it seemed like everybody treated him differently. Like they basically forgave him because he admitted that he did that. And Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, everybody still hates them because they haven't admitted it. But I guarantee you, if any of those guys would have stepped up and admitted it, it wouldn't have been a forgiving situation. It would just been, I told you so. I told you he's a cheater. I told you blah blah blah. So, different strokes for different folks. But shout out to Andy Pettitte on his 45th birthday. Another MLB great. Wade Boggs turns 59. And manager extraordinaire, Dusty Baker. There's a lot of people in MLB with birthdays today. Dusty Baker turned 68 years old. So we'd like to give a nice big War Room salute.
So we got one more. We got one more birthday. We got one more birthday to an all-time soccer great. He hasn't made it to the premiership yet, but Jaimon, Jaimon Austin turns 9 tomorrow.
He's gonna be so good. It's just gonna be Jaimon.
It's just gonna be Jaimon Dino.
It's just gonna be Jaimon.
Just Jaimon.
One name. Shout out to the youngin', and y'all keep an eye out for him because y'all gonna see more from Jaimon
on the pitch.
You don't need to know his last name, his middle name, or nothing. Just remember that. Happy birthday, youngin'.
It's my birthday. Yay!
All right. You guys know what you got to do. When we're not on the air, you can check out our website, worldroomsports.com. While you're there, take your time, look around, click on the Contact Us tab to send us a message about our company, our show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities or joining the network in any capacity. Let's make this money together. For general inquiries, email us, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, make sure you click on the memorabilia tab. Support us. Buy some War Room Sports merchandise. It's a small baller brand. Click the blog tab to read our latest articles in the All Spare and Sports and More blog. Then click the respective icons and tabs to basically like and follow all of our social media platforms. And we're on everything. Just go there. Find us at War Room Sports on pretty much everything.
We there. We there.
You can also watch our webcast at War Room Sports TV. We're going to get that pumping back up sometime soon. You can listen to the WRS Podcast Network. You download our free mobile app, which gets you pretty much everything I just mentioned on the go. That's Android and iOS. You can join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't want to create an account, you can sign into your Facebook and Twitter accounts. And while you're at it, make sure you click follow because that'll get you updates and reminders about the show every week via email. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us, the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline is now open. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. But if you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. So shout out to Skyview1, who's in the chat room. He was talking with us when we were talking about Antonio Brown. He said, I hope Antonio Brown's IG model doesn't turn into a Steve McNair situation. I pray the same thing, good brother. nobody wants to see that kind of situation happen again. So be careful, Antonio. They might be crazy. All right. So this NBA wrap that we're about to get into, this recap, we're going to hit the phone line. So hold tight right there. We're going to get you first. But I got to pay some bills. It's brought to you by Sports the Book. You guys tired of reading the same old sports book with the titles, sports lists, rankings, imaginary starting lineups, and shout out to Bleacher Report for something I saw today. They were projecting every team in the NBA's record for the next 5 years. Like, who put in the time to do that dumb? Like, really? This is when
They won't get no cash.
This is when sports writers get bored. There's, a time of year comes where there's going to be nothing to write about. So you go project the records of every team in the NBA for the next 5 years, and you have no clue what these teams are going to do, who they're going to draft, what moves they're going to make, what free agents they're going to sign. Go sit your ass down somewhere. This is why you guys need to pick up your copy of Sports. Smart people only read the sports. It's the
You
Illmatic.
don't get no cash.
This mixture of sports and hip-hop culture will keep you mesmerized and laughing from beginning to end. Just go to sportsthebook.com or get your copy from our website, warroomsports.com. Just don't miss the movement. All right, so let's go to the phone lines real quick. I see we got the homie Tobias waiting. Tobias, what's going on? You're in the war room, good brother.
Hey, don't know how long it's going to be before Master cut my foot off. How you gentlemen doing today?
Oh,
Pretty
man.
good, man. How are you? What'd you
I'm
think
doing
about?
all right.
What'd you think about those NBA finals?
I got to say my old quote, be Austin Love. Let's be honest here, guys and gals.
Mm-hmm.
The Cleveland Cavaliers do not have a personnel problem. They have a style of play problem. They aren't an ISO
salary
team.
cap problem is what they have. They keep letting
That too,
players
because
run the team.
They talking about, we're going to bring in Paul George. That's another ball stopper,
Yeah.
And so they don't move the ball like that, especially when you have a bunch of players who don't get their own shot. Because we got to look at Golden State. Klay Thompson doesn't create for nobody. He's a catch-and-shoot guy.
Right.
Durant, he can create, but he can catch and shoot. Steph Curry, all those people, they aren't ball dominant. And here's something that's funny. I listened to Cowherd today. He said, he said Kyrie Irving is transformative. Saying Kyrie Irving like one of these great, like an all-timer. I'm like, the guy who couldn't win 40% of his games for LeBron got there is transformative? I just think a lot of people are prisoners of the moment. Just because you have great skills does not mean it translates into wins.
Right.
Amen.
Yeah, right. And, that whole, it seemed like everybody's, I mean, I'm a big Kyrie fan myself, but
Great. Good player.
I believe what you're saying. I think a lot of people are prisoners of the moment because, there's never context in anything anyone says anymore because, you are looking at his skill set and it's second to none at this point, but, you also have to look at impact. Like Kyrie is great to have on your team when you have, an already good team. Like he's that guy you can go to late in the game to get something going. But like Tobias said, like what the hell was Kyrie doing while LeBron wasn't there besides racking up, the number one pick
Meaningless.
in the lottery? And I don't even want to diss him like that. It's not a diss, but it's just a fact.
I'm a huge.
And we got some bars because your man Kevin Durant stepped out there. We're gonna talk about that later.
Oh, I'm on that one next.
Huge,
you got it. We're gonna talk about it later.
Huge Kyrie fan, but you're absolutely right. And LeBron is there to his detriment. So we'll talk about that a little later. The reason Kyrie is not going to be what Cowherd is putting him out there to be is because of LeBron. A large part of it is because of LeBron and the offense they run.
Yeah, they don't really fit together. I mean, they're gonna win because the Eastern Conference is just trash, and all you need is talent, and they have the talent. But when you go against other super teams, other juggernauts, you kind of see what can happen. I mean, they got it done last year, but with Golden State adding Kevin Durant to that mix, the Cleveland Cavaliers, as constructed, aren't going to get over that hump. I know LeBron knows that. He probably was, he didn't look too upset the other night, so I'm sure he was on the phone, on the horn, trying to
calling Melo,
calling
the Banana Boat Boys. Listen, we need another trip on the banana.
You know what, though? I gotta say this real quick. I heard everybody, Durant, saying Kyrie got a better skill set than Allen Iverson. Yes, he's a better shooter than Allen Iverson. Yes, we can say that. He probably got a better handle. But no one has ever gone to Hall of Fame because of a crossover. All I know is that Allen Iverson, in an era where you were getting laid out, carried a lottery team to a finals. That was a lottery. That would be a lottery team without him. And he may not be everyone's cup of tea. That man carried a team for 10 years. And I think because he was the most likable guy, he never really got his due.
No doubt. Like I
said, we're gonna have more on that. Cleveland real quick?
We got some bars on that, but we're gonna let you rock.
Can I say this about Cleveland real quick?
Yes, sir.
I don't everybody talk. See, the problem I have with LeBron James, great player, one of the top 2 or 3 players of all time, right? He's the first superstar I ever heard of. When they lose, everybody goes, well, look at his stats. Look what he did. He has no help. I'm like, dude, you average a triple-double and you still lost in 5 games. How impactful was that? And the thing that kills me, everybody talking about the other players are ball dominant.
Triple-double all season, and people just talked about how he was padding his stats, and he was selfish.
Yeah.
And we saw, and I don't want to turn this into a Bron bashing thing because, I'm still a fan of the dude, but we saw him in situations, and they say this is just the norm. That's the excuse they're giving. We saw him in situations where he probably needed to be the man and take over the game. He's still dishing out passes, trying to get assists. Anybody, depending on your perspective, you could say that he was padding stats because he had probably conceded the fact that they weren't going to win this series. So why not, go out there and do something nobody's ever done and still win while you're losing? Because LeBron won.
Yeah.
From everything I've
seen. I know you guys got to go, but I know everybody is talking about, well, he did this. I'm like, look, when Michael Jordan lost the play, even though I remember 1990, that series against the Bad Boy Pistons, 32-9-7, they still called him a ball hog. Kobe Bryant called a ball hog. Magic Tragic Johnson. LeBron, they make excuses for him. And I think that's what turns people off. Just say, hey, we lost to the better team. We don't care about your stats because at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses.
Tobias, they do care about his stats. They do care. They care
that's all
about
they care about.
Because that's really the only argument he has in the whole, legendary top 5 or GOAT debate. His statistics, the statistics that he has amassed are very impressive. But like I said, there's context that comes with everything. And, how much are you impacting against the better teams in your league when you have a 3-5 record in the finals? Never saying that's all LeBron's fault, but a lot of these teams that he is going to 7 straight finals with are teams that he pretty much handpicked himself. So if he thinks he's battle ready with these guys, why does everybody else make excuses when they don't get it done? That's just
yeah. And I'll say this, and I'll get out of here. Write this real quick. It's the first time I ever heard someone lose, and they say, "Well, look at the great team he played against. He played against 4 Hall of Famers. Stop making excuses." But hey, you guys have a good one, man.
All right, you too, man. We'll write to you next week.
Never.
All right.
I've heard as much as people say, the Golden State Warriors have 4 Hall of Famers, and if by some chance they all, 4 people from this team get into the Hall of Fame, then
God bless him. Deb, I've heard people say that LeBron has played against 26 Hall of Famers in his career. Now, LeBron isn't old enough for us to know that there are 26 Hall of Famers. What are they talking?
Wow. I've heard it all. I've heard, in the comparison to Michael Jordan didn't play against anybody in the finals. I'm like, wow. First of all, this is another context argument right here. Because let's say, more individual players, and now they're putting anybody and everybody in the Hall of Fame any damn way. So let's say that more individual players that LeBron played against in NBA Finals end up going to the Hall of Fame. Does that necessarily mean that they had better teams than the ones that Michael Jordan faced? Allen Iverson is a Hall of Famer. So when he's in Kobe Bryant's or Shaq's Hall of Fame opponents count, you know what I'm saying? Does that, because he beat the Sixers that had Allen Iverson that you could put on your Hall of Fame count, were the Sixers a better team than anybody they beat in the West that year? The Sixers were doing their thing, but I'm not sure even if the Lakers don't sweep San Antonio, it's not a guarantee because the Sixers played the Lakers. It's not a guarantee that they were going to win the championship if the Lakers happened to make it. So it's like, you just count Hall of Famers and make that the end-all, be-all to the level of competition that somebody played in NBA Finals. Like, before the lockout, Shawn Kemp was headed to the Hall of Fame. So if we're doing what we're doing with the Golden State Warriors right now, you would have counted Shawn Kemp back then. Oh, Michael Jordan's playing right now against two Hall of Famers, Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp. But you can't do that. Draymond Green could turn into a 400-pound, crash dummy like Shawn Kemp did overnight. Klay Thompson, in my opinion, is not Hall of Fame level. Like the caller said, he's a catch and shoot guy. I think if Klay Thompson was given his own team, if he left and he was the number one on a team that didn't have creators and he was asked to create like most superstars are, I think we get a whole new view and a whole new perspective of Klay Thompson. I mean, the man is a shooting demon. He scored 60 points off 11 dribbles. But if you're not playing with other all-stars, that's not possible.
Right, that can't happen.
Right. If you're running with Eric Snow and George Lynch and Tyrone Hill, you're not getting 60 off a few dribbles. You got to put that thing on the deck and do something yourself.
The real knock, and I fall into the trap sometime with Golden State because, to be honest, in a vacuum, I do love that team. They are thoroughly entertaining. I love to watch them. But if you really want to analyze from the nitty gritty, there's only two players on that team that could continually, night in and night out, see a double team and meet with some success. KD has played his entire career against double teams, and so we know he can be successful in the league. Curry, to a lesser extent, and I don't know how because he's not the greatest athlete, but Curry can play against the trap and play against a double team and meet with success. Although, as careless as he is with the ball, you have to wonder if he has to do it by himself, could he really carry a team? Although we've seen him in situations.
I think a lot of his carelessness is also a product of the amount of talent on their team. I think they just think they can do pretty much anything, and because they know they can score in bunches.
Lord knows his shot is.
Right. Because they just get careless. They get the playing around because they know, if this pass gets through here, he hits this three, it's going to ignite the crowd, and we're going to get it going. And they get on these runs that are just like, man, these dudes are just showing out right now. So I think his carelessness has a lot to do with, the team he plays on.
Got you.
He can afford to be careless because they can make up a 15-point deficit in like 2.5 minutes.
Right. I agree.
All right, so we all know the Warriors, ended up defeating the Cavs in 5 games. My pick was Warriors in 6. You know how the prisoner of the moment situation is that we have to deal with every week. The Warriors go up 3-0. The Cavs win a game, and everybody's saying, "Uh-oh, it's not over yet." The series was over 2 games ago. So Cleveland got that consolation win. It might have been a little bit of a legacy saver for LeBron James because even, 5 games is nothing to sneeze at either. You get, beaten 5 games, you didn't do anything special. You just avoided the sweep. But I think a lot of people who were talking, they had that caveat in there saying, well, if LeBron falls to 3-5 in the finals and he gets swept, then what does that do for his legacy? But
it's still a loss.
Even if they just lost 1 game, and we just talked about it with the caller, like we've seen how it just seems like there's so many LeBron apologists, and they make excuses for him. Winning that one game seemed to just rejuvenate everybody who wants to put forth a defense for some reason. Because what we did before the series even started, we already made Golden State an all-time team. So, if LeBron loses to an all-time team, then all of a sudden it's not that bad of a loss. I'm talking for they. I'm not talking for us or me. But it seems like we're seeing this a lot. Even in what we're going to talk about later with Kevin Durant, with the whole Kyrie is better than Allen Iverson thing, it seems like everybody is on this kick to say, to give praise, this high praise to their opponents, which in turn makes them look better, basically win or lose, because I had to play against the Monstars.
Yo, it's participation trophy era. It's sickening. It's disgusting. And I really had to fight, and I'm sorry, and I apologize to God for this, because I had to fight against having a bad week based on hearing people tell me that winning doesn't matter. Stats do. Like when you get to a place with
we're in the analytics era, man. Winning doesn't matter and facts don't matter.
That competitive greatness, because winning is about competitive greatness at this level, at the level we're discussing. And winning doesn't matter. Your stats are what trumps winning. Dude, I can't even that I'm bound to get into a physical altercation over a conversation like that. So I had to disconnect a little bit, because people were honestly, we all know that I have issues with LeBron's badassery, but I don't take anything away from LeBron in being an all-time great. I think that you can't deny at this stage in this gentleman's career that he is an all-time great. That does not preclude us from analyzing his game and getting deep into the differences between him and the other guys that sit at the table of God. You can call it splitting hairs or whatever, but that's what we do. That's our job. So we have to. But I give him his due. Like, he is an all-time great. But don't sit here and tell me that because of his statistics, that makes him better than others who won more and had more success as winners than him. Because if we want to go with statistics, see, what people are forgetting is there have existed other guys who were monstrous stat patters, stat accumulators before LeBron.
What they say about them, B? They crap on their era. They didn't play against anybody, blah, blah, blah. So there's always going to be an excuse to tear down the older guys who used to put up ridiculous numbers. But now, when we're living in the moment, these guys are putting up these kind of numbers, and, they're just the greatest. Like, if LeBron amasses more totals, not even all the time averages, he passed Michael Jordan in playoff points, this and that. Like, LeBron's been in the league much longer than Michael Jordan. Like, LeBron's, played since he was 18. He's been the leader of a team since he was 18. I mean, some of these things are compliments to LeBron. The fact that he could come right in, not need that much of a learning curve, and average like 20, 22 points right off the bat. So he's been putting in work for a very long time. LeBron is going to amass statistics. He's going to pass everybody. But if that's your only way to judge who sits where at Jimmy the Blueprint's table of gods and the GOAT conversations and all that kind of stuff, then come on, you gotta do better. You gotta add some context to all these statistics, because statistics do not tell the entire story. As far as that comparison goes, man, you know me. I'm one of those people. I knock Michael Jordan stands, for which, I've always been one, but I try to be a little more rational and objective than everybody else. I knock the Michael Jordan stands who say, oh, no matter what, nobody's ever going to be better than Jordan. I think that's ridiculous. Like, if you see somebody with your eyes who's doing something that you might think is better than Michael Jordan, okay, you got to admit that. And you also have to admit that, time is going to go on and athletes are going to get bigger, stronger, faster. At some point, some athletes are going to get more skilled. And one day it's bound to happen. I just think this particular comparison is way premature. And as a refresher, I had to go back and watch 4 to 5 Mike videos. And it even made somebody like me who was starting to not concede that anybody was better, but concede that, okay, these dudes are, if they're at the table with guys with Mike, they might be sitting right next to him. Nah, these cats, Mike is sitting at the head of the table, and it's a long-ass table, and other guests don't start showing up until midway through that table, in my opinion. And this refresher course that I took today with my son, dude is a different animal, man. He's a different animal, B. I can't in my right mind put somebody on that level right now. He's a different animal.
Unless you understand ball, and the sad thing is even some that do understand the game are still, they have this shroud over. Look, man, I don't like to bring up Michael Jordan because we all know, if you're listening for the first time, well, then shame on you, but hopefully your life improves as you add War Room Sports to your world. But if you've listened to us, we all know how I feel about Mike. Mike is a human. Mike is a basketball player. As a human, he's a piece of crap. As a basketball player, he is the god. But I don't even like to bring him into the conversation because for me, it's acknowledging something that shouldn't even be acknowledged. Because for me, cats that are at that table that even have conversations with the head of the table before LeBron even gets there. Like, LeBron, to me, is not better than Larry Legend. I don't care what you say. I don't care about his athleticism. I don't care that Larry Legend couldn't jump over a stack of nickels. I don't care about none of that. Larry Legend is better than LeBron. Now, I believe LeBron will end up passing him ultimately.
I've never seen anybody play with the confidence or cockiness that Larry Bird played with in a league full of high-flying, jumping bean black dudes. Like you said, somebody who wasn't athletic, who was slow, couldn't jump, but would tell those dudes what he's about to do to them. Do it.
And do it
then look in their face, laugh at them, win championships, win MVPs. Like, I tend to agree with you there. And saying that in 2017 to anybody that we're going to talk to, it's pretty much blasphemous to say that. But I just don't think. Like, you put them in the same situation, I just think he's going to look way more like an alpha than LeBron. I think LeBron being an alpha, I think it was forced upon him. Yeah. You know what I mean? For all the criticism throughout the years of him not being so sometimes it looks a little bit contrived. Now, as far as his game is concerned, okay, yeah, you're the best in the league, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? You have the biggest impact of anybody else in the league, but he just doesn't seem to have that same confidence and that same air about him as some of those dudes at that table.
Right.
Look, B, Paul Pierce and a few other people that I've talked to on the internet throughout the week, a lot of people seem to think that this is the dawning of the Kevin Durant era. Now, no matter what we think about the cheapness of his championship, because I likened it earlier to, like, what if you were standing in line for 2 hours to do something? Listeners out there, whatever you value in your life that you would stand in a line for 2 hours for, just say you're doing it. Say you took your kids to Disney World, something like that. So you're standing in line for 2 hours. You finally see, the light at the end of the tunnel. You're finally about to get up to the front and get on the ride. There's one more group in front of you, and then your family's going next. And then as that group goes up to be next, 10 people jump in front of them that know them, that are basically with them, but they let frolic around the park while they waited in line. And then 10 people jump in and you got to wait a little bit longer. Like, that's what I like in this championship for Kevin Durant. That's how I think that situation went down. Because it's like, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Iggy, all of those dudes.
They put the work in.
3 or 4 years.
They
put in
the
all
work
the work. They stood in line all this time. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end, you know, Kevin Durant comes up, cuts in line. Yeah, I'm with them. Makes you wait. You being LeBron, anybody else good in the league, the rest of the league, makes you wait and gets all the glory, gets on the ride, has a great time while you're still outside waiting your turn. Spurs, Cavs, you know, anybody who had who thought after last June as constructed that they might be able to come into this season and deal with the Golden State Warriors. They might have thought that Cleveland may have exposed something that may have, you know, they're still going to be good, but if you have a great team, you might be able to play on what Cleveland exposed. Nope. They just had 10 dudes in the form of Kevin Durant jump in front of you at the beginning of the line and get on that ride and have a whole bunch of fun while you're still waiting. As a matter of fact, the ride probably shut down for maintenance right after that group went on. So you just ass out of luck.
Yeah,
so
shut down for maintenance.
Even with all of that said, you know, there's a lot of people out there who's saying Kevin Durant, it might be his time. Paul Pierce thinks he's the best player in the league. I heard a couple of other people co-sign it. What say you? Has Kevin Durant passed LeBron James?
You brought up an interesting guy, you know, a guy with the moniker, the nickname, The Truth, and we respected his game on court as being the truth. But in this case, there's a little bit of disingenuousness here, and for those of you that don't know the history and don't, you know, go too deep with Paul Pierce's relationship as it relates to Durant and the type of guy Paul Pierce cut from a different cloth in the sense that Paul Pierce doesn't like LeBron James, and it comes from on-court competition. Paul Pierce does not bang with LeBron. Paul Pierce will find if it wasn't KD, Paul Pierce would probably say Paul George. And if it wasn't Paul George, Paul Pierce would say Kawhi Leonard. And if it wasn't Kawhi Leonard, hitch his wagon to the Steph train. Paul Pierce is never going to give LeBron credit for anything more than being a great player. But he's not, you know, that's the relationship that they had. They did a lot of battle. Paul got the best of it early in his career. And then, you know, LeBron laid mushroom head on Paul a little bit towards the latter part of his career. So I understand where Paul is coming from. And now to kind of speak to the KD thing, no, nothing has changed. LeBron James is still the best player in the National Basketball Association, and it's not close. What ended up happening is KD, a player who has been the man or at least the second option or a 1B on a team for 10 years, came to a squad with three other all-stars, and at least an additional 3 legitimate starter quality players. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to gear your defense to stop any one of those players because of the threat of the others on the court. So what ends up happening is Kevin Durant gets to go one-on-one. There is no legitimate NBA player that can be stopped one-on-one by another player, even in the league. Like that just doesn't exist. So can you imagine someone who's top 5 in the league getting to go one-on-one every night? Every night.
He made his life so much easier by doing it.
Like LeBron. LeBron is a good defender. He's a good help defender. He's a good weak side defender. On the ball, that's where you're going to see the Kevin Durant one-on-one. Yeah, on the ball, you're starting to see the age, but it wouldn't have mattered if you rolled back the clock 6 years and put LeBron on Kevin Durant from 6 years ago. If he was 26, he can't guard Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is legitimately 6'11" with the skills of a 2-guard. He can't guard.
Kevin Durant averaged 30 on them in the finals back in 2012. I mean, So if he gets to just go free reign one-on-one against anybody, he's gonna look this good. Like
So now what's gonna happen is KD is in a situation on a team, like you say, he cut the line, and so he's gonna get into the buffet and get to the table quicker and get more food than people who had to stand at the back of the line and work their way through the line. So now it's kind of like, he's gonna be able to showcase. He's gonna be able to showcase what he can do, and on any given night, going one-on-one with some of the best players in the world, he's going to get 30, 35, 40, just like Steph is going to get 30, 35, 40, just like Klay, not as frequently, but just like Klay is going to get 35, 40, 45. It's going to happen. So that's all that's happened. It isn't that he's better than LeBron. He's just going to be able to showcase his talent and skills.
Right. And I agree with you. I don't think Kevin Durant has I'm not one to say that, it's not arguable. It can't be debated. But we can go at this from a skills standpoint to an impact standpoint. And I know this kind of gets into the conversation that Kevin Durant was having about Kyrie Irving and Allen Iverson. Skill-wise, it might not even be close. Kevin Durant is a much more skilled player than LeBron James. There's a lot of inferior players who might be more skilled than LeBron James, but his physical gifts, along with his basketball IQ, puts him over the top. And, there's a lot of things that we even point out that LeBron can do, at 6'9", 270 or whatever he is, because they're listing him under everything he is. There's no excuse for him not to have a post game, at very least a post game, not even a devastating post game. But LeBron really has no post game. He doesn't have any go-to moves, like you always like to point out. Like when LeBron needs something, it's difficult for him to pull anything because he gets into that touchy situation where he might be afraid to do what he would consider his go-to because they might call an offensive foul on him or something like that. So
no, that's not why he's afraid. He's afraid because he doesn't want to go to the free throw line.
Right, but nobody, even with that being said, there's nobody in the league right now that's going to impact a single game from more angles than LeBron James. So, even in a loss, and I'm not a LeBron apologist like everybody who's acting like he won even in a loss, but even in a loss, he still, statistically outplayed everybody else in the series. Durant shined more because what he did in the bigger situations. He did down the stretch of games. When his team needed something, he gave it to him. But like we just said, I think it's a little easier to be that guy and to give your team everything they need when you can chill, you can rest because your team is so talented. You're not getting double teamed. Kevin Durant balled his life out, had a great series, but and earned that MVP. But I don't think he surpassed LeBron James as best player in the league.
Who's the double team? I'm just even thinking, who's the guy you would double off of? Who's the guy you would come off of if you're playing the Warriors and you want to double Durant? How would you do it? Would you use Welvin's guy, Big Welvin? Because even
that's
Big Welvin has
shown. If you're talking starting lineups, like that's the only guy you can use because you can't even really double off Zaza because Zaza's not one of those guys that's out there trying to shoot threes. So if you double your man off of him. Okay, dude,
going to
make layups. Yeah, I'm saying he can still make layups and dunks. So you gonna get.
And then Welvin has shown on occasion about 2 times a year. Welvin will go for 35.
And he shoots threes occasionally, but I would live with that if I had to double off somebody. I would live with that. But I think Big Welvin, I think that's somebody else with a superior basketball IQ. I don't think he's just going to bail you out and just sit back there and shoot threes when you leave him by himself.
Right.
He can create. He can move up into the lane and cause somebody else to have to come off their man. And now you're creating this domino effect where they're going to get it back to a shooter anyway. So I think he's too smart to just bail you out and just sit back there and launch threes because you're coming off of him to help. Yeah. So, I don't believe Kevin Durant has surpassed LeBron yet. He had a great series. He definitely was the MVP of the series. Shout out to Steph, man, because this is the best he's ever played in an NBA Finals. But your man cut the line on you, and he got all the glory. Steph is never, and maybe Steph playing this well. In reverse, you probably have to give credit to the fact that Kevin Durant joined the team. It wasn't as difficult for Steph as it's been in NBA Finals past because you really can't double team him, much. And when we say this, we're not saying that because, this is the kind of stuff where somebody will go show us a play. Look, they double team here. We're talking about a consistent double team like most of these guys have seen their whole career. We're not saying, once every 6 plays, somebody's not going to come off their man and double team somebody. And a lot of times they pay for it. But, you don't have to show us that film. We know what goes on. We know what the hell we're talking about. But look, so what's next? Well, first of all, I've also heard this. Golden State Warriors, greatest team of all time. Are they the greatest team of all time? Speechless? B, are the Golden State Warriors the greatest team of all time? All right, I must have lost them. Skyview in the chat room, can you still hear me? I'm gonna make sure you can hear me. I'm not getting an answer from him, so I hope you guys can still hear me. I've been hearing a lot lately that the Golden State Warriors are the greatest team of all time. And, okay, shout out to you, Skyview. I can't agree with that. I mean, we're living in an analytics era, so when people say that, they're going to give you all of these statistical reasons of why they think that's true. The eye test means a lot in these situations as well, in my opinion, but nobody's using it anymore. I saw somebody get on TV the other day, and they were saying what B. Austin was saying earlier, saying that as far as greatest teams of all time, I guess the 96 Bulls came up. So they're doing a comparison between Golden State and the 96 Bulls. And just like they were with the whole Michael Jordan, B, you there? The whole Michael Jordan, LeBron James comparison, they were basically saying that Golden State has played more talent in the postseason than the 96 Bulls and teams like that. And I just wonder, where do they make these assertions? Then they start running off numbers, but these guys aren't playing the same teams. So if we're living in a weak NBA, which I think we are right now, and these teams are beating these teams in the league who really have no shot at advancing past them in the first place, I don't understand how that constitutes better talent.
I believe that LeBron would thrive in any era. I believe that Kevin Durant is a transcendent player. But here's one of the things that has to be, there always has to be context and circumstances discussed. When you look at almost all of those Bulls teams that won chips, defensively, you are allowed to do a lot more. If you had Jordan in his prime in today's NBA, with his mentality, he would score 40 every night. He would score 40 because you can't touch him. And if you can't touch Michael Jordan, if you can't bump him, if you can't push him, if you can't hand check him, that 32 a game turns into 40 or 42. That's the biggest difference. Now, my question would be, some of the guys, because I give LeBron his credit and I give Durant their credit, some of these other guys, would they be as successful with the type of defense that they would have to face in the Bulls era? Would they be successful with a guard that's able to use their hands to guide you where they want you to go? Would you be able to get that off? So that's no context is being discussed here, just numbers, just the stats.
I got something for you. The Skyview in the chat room says the 96 Bulls team has the second best team. Numbers don't lie. He says you got to go with last year's Warriors minus losing in the finals. But how can you minus losing in the finals? And still, like, I'm still like, even though they won 73. This is why,
Stop it, Skyview. Losing and winning matter. Not these goddamn numbers. Losing and winning. Yo, cuz.
Minus the most important loss.
What?
Right. And but for me, like, these type of arguments, first of all, you'll never be able to prove anything because these teams are never going to play each other. But at the same time, if we're just going to go on numbers, then you're telling me that everything was completely equal. The level of competition was completely equal. That's the only way you can come up with numbers never lying, because Steph and the Warriors didn't win 73 games playing against the exact same teams that Michael Jordan played against. Michael Jordan and the Bulls didn't win 72 games playing against the exact same competition that Steph and the Warriors played against. So it has to be, even if you're going to make this subjective argument, because that's all it is subjective arguments and opinions, because it'll never be proven. But even when you do that, man, we got to hold people to the fire about context. We can't just say, oh, that number was higher, 73, their number was higher, so they're the best. First of all, they didn't win the championship. So scratch that season. But you do that, and then you actually have to continue and play it all the way out. So, I don't understand how we can even make conclusion from the whole thing, but people are doing it. This is what we see every day, B. Numbers don't lie, is what we always hear. I think numbers tell
so what you're telling
falsehoods every day.
What you're telling me is that if I average 40 and I never win, it doesn't matter because I average 40. Okay. All right.
He said right now Rocky Marciano is the best fighter of all time until Floyd gets that 50th. Okay. You say that, but
all right.
Again, like Rocky Marciano, Floyd, or heavyweights that you compare to Rocky Marciano, unless they're and even this method will be flawed. But I'm saying unless their fight lists consist of the exact same 50 names, like if he and Muhammad Ali had the exact same 50 names on their thing, then you could make a better case for Rocky Marciano being, the best fighter of all time. If Muhammad Ali is the guy that you're going to put next to him. If you're going to do Floyd, that's a whole different weight class, so that's impossible to compare anyway. But it's not just so simple and it's not just that cut and dry. You can't just say, because somebody's number is greater. I don't know. I don't understand when people think that way. It's like context just doesn't matter. There's nothing else we have to look at besides the fact that somebody's number is higher. Okay, we play.
It's lazy.
They were 73-9 in a league where you had to play teams. There's always bad teams in the league, but you're playing the Sixers, you're playing the Nets. You're getting a few freebies off of teams like that. It's not as physical a league. I'm watching the 30 for 30 about the Lakers and the Celtics yesterday, and I saw them do things and get common foul call where today players might get arrested. Taken out of the arena prior to the ending and getting booked. Like, try to judge stuff over errors.
I'm gonna give you another bullet. I'm gonna give you another bullet for your gun. I don't know this to be factual for the Jordan era or even previous era, but what we do know is that the Warriors and LeBron play in an era where they have organizations who are literally trying to loot. Right.
So you got teams tanking to Yeah, it's just too much context. He says with that logic, Kobe's 81 is better than Wilt's 100. It's arguable. First of all, none of us were there for Wilt's 100. We didn't see it. But if you're just going off the bases and how they played, it's arguable. If Wilt's just getting the ball 2 feet from the basket and dunking a lot and just making little shots, it's very arguable. The great equalizer
his 81 is
3-point line. But the fact is, you have to be able to shoot from the 3-point line. You have to be able to.
His 81 is greater.
So you
his
can't
81
say
is greater. Skyview.
Yeah, you can't say
his 81 is great. He's taking jumpers from 15 to 24 feet. Well, knowing Kobe, 15 to 26
shot by nature, which is a more difficult shot by nature. So, I mean, if we want to go there, I never thought to compare Kobe's 81 and Wilt's 100. But you can't tell me that the level of difficulty for Kobe wasn't greater than Wilt, who,
That's the argument. That's the foundational argument for Jordan being greater than Wilt, is the fact that Jordan did it off of more difficult shots from a harder position on the floor to dominate a game. How do you dominate a game from the perimeter? Jordan was still a perimeter player despite him using the mid-post so effectively. Jordan dominated from the perimeter. How do you dominate and hit 50% of your shots when you're taking them from more than, 14 feet away from the basket?
Right. Yeah, so if we're talking, level of difficulty, then, Kobe's 81 is definitely arguably better than Wilt's 100. But being 100% honest, I've never seen film of Wilt, making all the baskets that it takes to score a 100-point game. So it'll be a little bit harder to judge until we see that. But knowing about Wilt Chamberlain and what he did and how he did it, I'm pretty sure most of his shots came in from like 2 or 3 feet or less, and a lot from the foul line as well. So what's next for LeBron? Is he going to bolt? Eligible to bolt? Or is he just going to recruit another superstar
more the
to
same,
team up
more
with and recruit somebody
more
to come to
cowardice.
Cleveland? Or
More
do you
cowardice.
think there's a chance? He came back. I didn't think there was a chance in the world that he would leave Cleveland again. But I started to soften on that stance as I thought about things more. And now that he's actually brought that championship to Cleveland, I think all bets are off because he can leave with the justification that I did what I promised you that I was going to do. I hear he's going west.
Can I get a run? Can I get a run with y'all?
Yeah.
Can I come run with y'all?
Yeah,
Can I
do
play
you
with
think
y'all?
he would go west?
Yo,
Because people are saying he might go to the Clippers or Lakers. I don't see him going west as long as Golden State is still that strong. The East is a free ticket to the finals. So he can continue his streak that might be a little overrated that everybody's excited about. He could go to 10, 12 straight finals in the Eastern Conference before the Sixers
I see him staying put, and I see him recruiting someone like a Paul George, which actually, though Paul George is a transcended talent, I don't think that makes the team better because that is redundancy in terms of skill set and the way and what they have and what he does. But I see as much as on one hand I would diss LeBron for leaving, but on the other hand, if he went to the West, that's actually not as much of a cowardly move as super teaming
he's not going to go to the West without reinforcements. He's not going to go there by himself. I mean, but real talk, he's not going there just for a change of scenery. Somebody's going to meet him there.
Right.
He's going to go into a situation where they have more salary cap because he's already forced Cleveland to do everything he wants to the tune of them being $28 million or more over the salary cap right now. So, like I told you last week, I think them winning the championship last year may have bought them a year. They lose
Yeah.
2 in a row, you really have to think about LeBron getting up out of Dodge. Like, this situation's done. I can't do this no more.
If he went west, he would have to play the only 2 legitimate threats in the West. There's the true threat, which is Golden State, and then there's the quasi threat, which I would say San Antonio, which is a credit to the San Antonio organization and Popovich directly.
Skyview in the chat room said the only team he would go to other than the Cavs should be the Knicks. Impress me, take the Knicks to the chip. Yeah, but just like I told B. Austin, even if he makes that move, he ain't going by himself. He ain't going by himself. So, you know, with what these guys are doing, like, how impressive is it really? Because nobody's just changing teams anymore. People are making sure their situation is ready-made when they get there. They're checking that cap space to see who you can bring in, who I can recruit for you, and we can make this trade happen. So, yeah, in that respect, it's like wherever he goes, he's going to have a squad to follow him there. So he's always going to be in good shape. He's always going to be ready to compete for a title immediately when he goes somewhere. So, I mean, that's just the times that we're living in now. Like, the very best player in the league who's been that for a long time, he's just willing to be a nomad in his title chases. It's because the fans put this kind of pressure on people. Like, your legacy has to be filled with championship rings to be considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. It wasn't always like that. Like I always say, Bill Russell had 11 way before Mike had 6, but we never heard anybody talk about Bill Russell being the greatest player of all time. We never hear people talk about Bill Russell's rings until after the Michael Jordan era. Once he won 6 and he was starting to be called the greatest player of all time, it seems like the pressure followed everybody in the generations after him because, you know, you're no longer allowed to be in that mix unless you have a ton of championships. Like we have players like Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, guys like that who don't have championships but are some of the top players in NBA history. We got these guys being clowned on TV, you know, by their peers because they don't have that jewelry that the other guys have. So for me, like, it's still difficult. It still will be difficult to see LeBron get up and leave again. But at this point, I don't think pride and competitive fire is something that the guys in the league these days care about too much. Like they don't care what you think because in the long run, I think they're just banking on the fact that fans are going to forget, or we're going to get to a point where fans don't even know the details behind the moves that they're making. Fans are just going to go because, shout out to you, Skyview, in the chat room, fans are going to just look and say, numbers don't lie. So 20, 30 years from now, nobody's going to look at the fact that Kevin Durant came to a 73-9 team that beat him the year before. Nobody's going to look at the fact that LeBron went and teamed up with 2 top 10, top 15 players in the league in Miami, and then when they got stale, he went back to Cleveland, who had been building up assets to make them a powerful team while he was gone. Nobody's going to look at that. They're just going to look at the fact that he was in such and such straight finals. He got this many championships. He has this many points. No context, all numbers.
Because we're lazy. So we really have Sean Corey Carter, a.k.a. Jay-Z, to thank for this. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. All right. I see what it is. Hip-hop's fault. Yeah, and that's, and that's the problem. Our job as journalists, like journalistic integrity, and not so much the personality side of our business and this thing of ours, which is War Room Sports and the War Room. Our job and duty is to bring context to these discussions, to spark critical thinking, because what I'm noticing is as the access to information expands, it hasn't made the fans' minds any sharper. Not to call y'all dummies, but y'all dummies, because you're not really willing to do a deeper dive and get into the context around. It's easier just to say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So you're not going to take the time to get into the eye test. You're not going to have the discussions that surround context and circumstance.
We're not even going to dig deeper into the statistics.
No, you're going to attach your wagon to the player that you root for, where you have a rooting interest, or the thing that sparks the most positive emotion, and you're going to hold on to that. So there's no level of objectivity to what you're doing. Like I'll even say it, and I'll give you an example, and I'll use us, which is terrible in a debate, right? But we're not in a debate. My favorite player is probably Allen Iverson. Not the best player. As time and the years have gone by, I've become a little jaded on Michael Jordan the person, not Michael Jordan the player. I acknowledge that Michael Jordan, to me, on the basketball court as a player, still is lowercase g. Like, he's the GAWD. He's the God. He is it. But the player that I most relate to and that I rooted for and personifies an underdog is Allen Iverson. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you from a standpoint that he's the best player in the world, even when he was playing. Like, we can't, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you can't, we have to have a level of objectivity where it's heart versus head. And that's what really gets me with the LeBron fans, because it's like, because there's so much free information flowing and so much access to these made up stats and stats we've never seen before, we grab hold of whatever supports our argument. Florida, yo, shout out to Bork. Bork, this is Bork. Like, yo.
These analytics guys will manipulate numbers to make whoever they want.
And it's really disgusting me, because it goes back to the competitive greatness conversation where LeBron is concerned. Like, we had people legitimately arguing as if LeBron didn't lose, only the other Cavs. So the winners were Golden State, LeBron, and the losers were the other Cavs, because he averaged a triple-double, and you're not going to dig deeper into the game. I mean, I had conversations.
LeBron was in the float at the parade.
Yo, he was at the float. Yo, he got a trophy. Like,
he was like, "We're gonna do this again next year."
So basically, it's LeBron's participation, which goes back to what you said a few episodes ago. It's participation trophies manifest themselves in professional sports. Because of his statistics and how he played, we're going to reward him, and it doesn't matter. That reward isn't attached to winning or losing. It's attached to participation and what you were able to amass in terms of numbers and stats. Like, we're not talking about winning. And that's like just crazy that, like, it rubs my entire soul the wrong way. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
All right. So, yeah, speaking of losing, like, will LeBron's 3-5 finals record take him out of the GOAT debate?
No, because Neck Wright is on a world tour with Muhammad Himman, going to each and every LeBron stand. Neck Wright, Shannon Sharp, there's a couple of them out there. They're LeBron like Stanleys, and they're consistently pushing the narrative that A, winning and losing doesn't matter. B, look at his statistical greatness. C, we like his athleticism. And B, the teams that LeBron faced are so much greater based on things like VORP that you can't possibly put anybody above him. So him losing, at this point, they're so emotionally invested, it doesn't matter if he loses another 2 or 3 finals. The fact that he made it to those finals, the participation element will get him still into the GOAT conversation for his participation. Meanwhile, these same guys would take the time to shit on the Buffalo Bills from the early 90s. They wouldn't even be in the conversation.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, we talk about the super team concept. You know what I always hear people say? You know, because it's like excuses. You throw everything out there, you know, when you get in trouble. Oh, well, such and such did it, such and such did it, and then everybody always wants to name the Boston Celtics. I don't think the casual fan has any clue of how the Celtics got together. And it had nothing to do with the players deciding we're going to go to Boston and play together. As a matter of fact, Kevin Garnett and his agent vetoed the first trade attempt when they tried to trade him to Boston because he did not want to go there. Kevin Garnett ended up in Boston because of the persistence of Danny Ainge. Give that man his props. Stop trying to lump them in with these less than competitive superstars of today. He and Paul Pierce, he and Ray Allen were friends from back in South Carolina. Had no clue they were going to be on the same team together. Ray Allen was actually traded there first. They tried to get Kevin Garnett. They vetoed the trade because they didn't want to go to Boston. They had to be talked into accepting the trade, and then the rest is history. But everybody wants to lump them in there. Like, what's the difference? They were the first super team. Yeah, there have been super teams in the league before, but everybody knows the context in which we're saying the word super team when it's used in 2017. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the players taking it upon themselves to create these teams. And don't give me the business and, they're taking their own destiny and this and that. Fine. Free agency has always been like that. You can go where you want to go. You can do what you want to do. But when you're showing a lack of competitive fire, me as a talking head, I have a right to criticize it if I so choose. If you're trying to take everybody who should be your rival and get on a team with them, then, and it's like levels to this because LeBron James fans, they see all the wrong in Kevin Durant's situation, and they don't see any fault in what LeBron James did. And not just LeBron James, what LeBron James did along with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh back in 2010. So it's crazy. But I have an article, I believe it was from Sports Illustrated, really in-depth article about how the Big Three got together. I believe we posted it on our Facebook page one day last week. But I'll repost that for everybody who they know that story and they really don't. Maybe if people read it, and it's pretty long, so people probably won't read it, but if people take the time to read it, they'll most likely stop trying to lump those Boston Celtics into that conversation of super teaming up like that. So let's get into a few hot topics. And all the hot topics basically range around the NBA and the NBA Finals as well. So we're not even going to switch a gear on this. Hot topics are brought to you by Audible. Is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? Well, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. All you have to do is visit Audible and sign up for your free trial at audibletrial.com/War Room Sports. In no time, you can be listening to the latest bestsellers, hands-free, stress-free, while getting other things done at the very same time. One thing outside of the world of basketball, Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, this quote-unquote super fight has been set for August 26th. We've seen a lot of people in the business, mainly Oscar De La Hoya, who's just a big of a promoter, well, maybe a bigger promoter than even Floyd himself, especially when Floyd's not promoting his own fights. Nobody's really banging with Oscar right now. He's been criticizing it, saying that it's making a mockery of the sport, and I think I agree with him. And a lot of ways because boxing has taken a lot of criticism over the past decade. And, we always have to tell people, man, there's great boxing going on right now, but it's not necessarily the fights that you guys want to see. It's not the big pay-per-view cards that we're paying $60 and $70 to go see. You got to find these fights or even fights Friday night fights that you can just find on your cable dial somewhere. It's some great boxing going on, but if you're only looking for the big name marquee matchups, then you're not going to recognize that. So in the midst of taking all of this criticism, as a sport, we go and do this. You have to put a little bit of the blame on Floyd Mayweather as well. He's been blamed by critics for the past decade or so about, handpicking his fights. Even if he's fighting a big name, when he fights them is important. So now he's fighting someone who's basically an amateur, has never had a boxing match, a professional boxing match in his life. He is a combat sport professional, however. So it's not just totally out of the realm, but this is another line-cutting situation. If you're going to come back and fight and you're the best fighter in the world, you have all of these guys who rank high enough to get this match. And then, because y'all want to put on a spectacle and y'all want to do something that's basically a money grab, we're going to let this guy come in from MMA because y'all talk some trash to each other over Twitter, get a fight with the best fighter in the world, and jump over all of these qualified, young, hungry competitors that Floyd may not want a piece of at 40 years old. B, what are your thoughts on this, man? Is this making a mockery of the sport of boxing?
This is a sad day, in my opinion, for boxing because, as you just mentioned, there are a number of hungry competitors out there. It's kind of like, I make the analogy to hip-hop, and what's on the radio versus, what's truly out there. And for years and years, our brother Jimmy, the Blueprint, has told us, no, guys, hip-hop's not dead. Hip-hop's not dead. There's plenty of stuff out here. Well, boxing looked like it was on life support and dead or dying just like hip-hop did, 10 years ago. 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And just as a fresh crop of up-and-comers kind of hit the bricks or hit the blocks, we have this circus, which is clearly and obviously a money grab. Like, as you said, you used the analogy of line jumping. What? So the last I checked, Floyd Mayweather is still a champion. And at the very least, undefeated. And the fact that he is undefeated would give him the rights to lay claim to some level of being a champion. And to fight a champion, you have to make your way through the contenders. Conor McGregor hasn't had to do any of that. He's just, it's almost like because of his IG following, his Twitter following, or because he's able to sell and bring a following from another sport. It's like, okay, here we'll do this dance, we'll rumble. So it's Floyd by agreeing to this, cheating the sport of boxing and cheating his fellow boxers and cheating ultimately the fan and cheating ultimately the sport to set up a payday and to have a fight with someone who, as you said, is really an amateur in the boxing ranks. Now we've heard some ridiculousness from some of our listeners and some of our homies saying that, Conor McGregor won't touch him. And I never was of that opinion. I've always felt as though if you want to look at the technicals of this fight, it's going to be a Trav Sham mockery because even at 40 years old, there's nothing that I've seen in Floyd to say that his skills have to the point where he can't walk a circle around someone who's never been in a boxing match, and so that's what really hurts this for me, or hurts my heart to see for the sport of boxing. It's Floyd leading the way in cheating the fans, cheating the sport, and cheating his fellow boxers. Conor McGregor is more of an opportunist. I'm not mad at Conor for taking a bag of this size and taking a purse.
For allowing him to.
Yeah, I'm mad at them for them. It's that's what it really boils down to. Like, they should be ashamed of themselves. So Oscar is right. I'm 90 to 95% behind Oscar, but I also know that because of his hatred and vitriol that he has towards Floyd, the motivations for him saying a lot of this stuff aren't genuine, pure love of the sport. It's his disdain for Floyd. But
so he Paul Pearson a little bit.
Yeah, he Paul Pearson. But that notwithstanding, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. It's a travesty. A little bit. Because there's a ton of decent talent out there that could give Floyd a real fight, and the problem is, as we have always seen, Floyd in his matchmaking, I don't know whether to blame it solely on Floyd or to look at Leonard Ellerbe and some of the guys in his camp and say, you guys have strictly positioned Floyd so that he takes no risks. This is, again, him not taking any risk. He's about to make $400 million off of a no-risk fight, or as close to a no-risk fight as possible, because he's not fighting an Elijah Thurman or a Triple G or one of those guys that really would stand more than a puncher's chance at beating him.
Yeah, well, as far as that whole thing goes, man, the ridiculousness that you spoke of actually started from Max Kellerman, where he said, and this was a clip. I don't know what he said after this, because you know how clickbait, they like to cut quotes short, just to make you interested and to get you to click on something. So I also, if Max, if you said something else after this, I apologize, but the clip I saw, he ended it by saying Conor McGregor won't land a punch on Floyd Mayweather. And I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like we're talking about, we're talking like, Floyd is holding a contest and he just randomly picked a sandwich artist from Subway who's never been in a fight in his life to come fight him. Okay, that guy might not land a punch. This guy isn't a boxer. Okay, well noted. But he is a combat sport professional. He throws punches for a living. So to think in 12 rounds, unless Floyd's going to stretch his boots in one round and get him out of there before he can land a clean shot. But in a 12-round fight, you're going to tell me this guy who throws punches for a living, and actually, from everything I've read and everything I've heard about him, because I'm not a great MMA fan, but everything I've read and heard about this guy, his strength is the fact that he's a precise puncher. Precise punching in MMA might not make you that precise of a puncher in the square circle of boxing, but he throws punches for a living. So to sit here and say he's going to jump in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, go 12 rounds with him, and he's not going to land a single punch, come on, Max Kellerman, you're a professional. Like, you're one of the people I respect the most as far as boxing talking heads, and you say stuff like that. I hope he said something else, and I hope they cut that clip short for clickbait. But I hope he said something realistic after that, because that's just silly. All right, our stat of the week is basically about Steph Curry. Switching gears back to basketball, Steph, after winning this NBA title a few days ago, Steph Curry has jumped into some very, very elite company. Not even elite company, legendary company. Some Mount Rushmore type company of players who've won multiple titles and multiple MVPs. So we now know that Steph Curry has 2 MVPs and 2 NBA titles. He joins the list with Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, and LeBron James as the only players in league history who have multiple titles and multiple regular season MVPs. So shout out to Steph, because when you look at the photo of this, he just seems like he's the kid that's doing his own thing, like the kid that doesn't belong. But he's there. So shout out to him. And in my opinion, he played the best NBA Finals he's ever played in his 3 years of making it there. So shout out to
KD.
Steph.
KD gave him that confidence because he was shooting. Man, he was shooting ignorant shots.
So let's get into. All right, we We talked about KD versus LeBron as far as being better. Kevin Durant went on Bill Simmons' podcast and said that Kyrie Irving is better than Allen Iverson. But we're not going to short him on context since we preach context so much. Let me read his exact quotations. Of course, I'm trying to pull it up, and it's not acting right at the moment. But I'll paraphrase. He basically said he was better, and then he made sure to say from a skill standpoint, he has a better handle than Allen Iverson. I guess he's saying that he has like a better jump shot than Allen Iverson. Whatever he's saying, he made sure to put the context in it from a skill standpoint. Do you believe from a skill standpoint, because we talked about, okay, maybe Kevin Durant being better than LeBron James from a skill standpoint, but as a player, as an overall player, as a producer, as an impact guy, no way, no how. What are your thoughts on the Kyrie versus Allen Iverson comparison here?
I think it was a disrespectful thing of him to say. I'm trying to dig in my objectivity bag, and yeah, I think that Kyrie Irving pounds the ball and dribbles. If you're just looking at dribbling in a vacuum, yeah, his dribble is better. That's about all I can. His shot, 3-point shooting. Yeah, 3-point shooting is definitely better. But none of that translates into him being a better player. And so that's what I felt like wasn't clear in what he was saying. I couldn't. He was on the Simmons podcast, and I have the quote here. He said, "Kyrie is better than AI to me. I'm going from like skill for skill. His handle is better. We might have to cut that out. I don't want no problems with AI. Y'all might have to cut that one. I don't want that to get out. I'm just saying I feel like Kyrie got more skill." I was telling some of my friends after game 2, I was like, Kyrie, he just makes you happy when you watch him play. You just smile when you watch him play, because for somebody to be that skilled, he had to work tirelessly at it. The stuff he has in his package, is next level stuff that you can try to teach your kids to do it, but you'll never be able to do it. I've never seen nobody block Kyrie's layup, and he's 6'2". I've never seen one person in his layup on the glass, not one, because the spin he got on it, and he don't got to look at it. I've got so much respect for him because I know how much work he has put in to be that good. Pat, beat it on my. That's all I heard. Yeah. I get this that he knows that Crew Thick is going to give him a beat down if he ever rolls through Hampton, Virginia. But I felt like he was waffling in his statement, like he didn't want to make it really seem like he was saying Kyrie is the better player, but he's so enamored with Kyrie's skill or skill level or whatever that I don't know what that bull was saying, man. He was being disrespectful. That's what yeah. That's my take from it. I mean,
well,
you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and you want to go into, Kyrie can dribble better and shoot better, but he would have to come out at the end of that statement and say, yes, Kyrie has all of these skills, and it's a great package, but he's not better than Allen Iverson. And he didn't make that expressly clear. It was almost he was bitching up about making the statement and about how he truly feels. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was one of those things where it just seems like everybody right now, the legacy talk is really big right now. So I think you have to make the guys that you played against, especially the guys that you beat, seem like they're some of the greatest players in NBA history, because that makes who look better. It makes you look better. So yeah, I just beat a team. You know, me and my guys just beat a team with LeBron James and this guy, Kyrie, who's even better than Allen Iverson. We just took them to the woodshed. That makes me look greater for everybody out there who believes what he just said. I don't think a lot of people out there believes it. Kyrie Irving has some stuff in his skill set that may be a little superior to some of the stuff in Allen Iverson's skill set. But like the caller Tobias said earlier in the show, like, if it doesn't impact winning on the same level, then it really doesn't matter. Just like we can chop up LeBron James's game and tell you what he doesn't have, which does manifest itself in some of the biggest moments. And it might be one of the reasons, you know, besides what the other guys on this team are doing, of why he has a 3-5 record in the NBA Finals. Because when you get to a certain point, the competition is better, and you need to be able to do other stuff than what you did to beat down the normal teams that you face. But even though we can chop his game up, you know, Kevin Durant's not better than him. Nobody in the league is better than him. So we can say Kyrie has a better yo-yo. I always thought when people used to talk about Allen Iverson's handle, I thought they overrated his handle a little bit. Like, they actually used to
overrated based on that move
between him and like Jason Williams, the white chocolate Jason Williams. I'm like, is this even a conversation? Like, Allen Iverson does not have that kind of yo-yo. What Allen Iverson had was foot speed that none of these dudes can match. So whatever he did with the ball, he was gone, and there was nothing you could do about it. And, you know, his signature move was something that wasn't really quite legal. So if this guy is as quick as he was, and you get to do that until they started calling it, like, there's nothing you can do about it. But this is total speculation because I don't know, because we know from a few years before LeBron got there, like, Kyrie Irving is not pulling a mediocre to average team, because I'm not going to crap on the Sixers as much as everybody else did. He's not pulling an average team to the NBA Finals in no era against any competition. So it's not, I don't know. It's just not the same.
When it's,
I don't even think Kyrie's the best point guard in the league. Not that Allen Iverson was a point guard, but even if we're talking about little guys who score, he's not Allen Iverson.
Yeah, I like Kyrie's game, and this is really no shot to him. So I really appreciate seeing him play. I actually, because he has that going to the rack component in his game, that Steph goes to the rack, Steph goes to the hole, but nowhere near like Kyrie. Like, I appreciate watching Kyrie, but as a point guard playing the position, LeBron James has actually stunted his growth. Shout out to Leroy McConnell, who is a friend of the show, and he actually kind of asked that, and will make that point. In my opinion, he stunted Kyrie's growth because Kyrie would have had to run a team, or just made the declarative statement in his game that, look, I'm not a point guard. I'm Jason Terry. I'm here to get shots up. I'm the new and improved Jason Terry. I'm just here to score, which with LeBron on the squad, it kind of gives him an excuse, but also stunts his growth because his scoring isn't even in a point where he's setting it up and drawing. He's not drawing a defense in to make passes. He's just gunning. Like, he's just out there to gun. Like, passing isn't even on his mind a lot of times. Like, you'll see him in games will have 35 rebounds and 1 assist or 2 assists as a point guard.
Right.
As a point guard. Now, you can blame that now on LeBron and say, well, LeBron brought the ball up and LeBron ran the offense. But even if LeBron's not in the game, he's the type of player where it's quite possible that he still only ends up with 1 or 2 assists while playing point guard. So he's the type of player where, I'm seeing him stunted in his growth, even though his individual skill set is very high and amazing. AI was a little bit of a different breed because he was not a point guard. He was there to kill. He was there to gun. That was his job.
I got one more question for you because we only got like 2 minutes left. First, I want to give props to ESPN and the director of the latest 30 for 30, Celtics, Lakers, Best of Enemies. It was a 3-part thing, I believe, but it was over 2 nights. It was 2 nights of some of the best programming I've watched in a while. It was much better than watching the NBA Finals. The Celtics-Lakers rivalry from the 80s and the 60s. We know about that. We know all about it, but it's still interesting when they show you and they take you more in depth with all of that. A couple of the books I read, shout out to Jeff Pearlman, who's been a guest on the show. I read his book about the Lakers. Jimmy and I read that. We also read Jackie McMullen's book about really she was writing a book for Larry and Magic. She was like the co-writer on that when we owned the game. So, I had to look into the depths of all of this before, but watching that documentary was great. What I want to ask you is because us old guys, we always complain about the NBA and stuff was better in our time and this and that. Is parity a myth? Is NBA parity a myth? Because if you look at the whole Lakers and Celtics situation, in the whole decade of the 1980s, there was not 1 year where either one or both of those teams were in the NBA Finals. So is parity a myth? Is this just, all the complaints that we have about new basketball?
No. I think that at the very top, those teams were definitely loaded and built to be in the finals, but I do feel like night in and night out, there was a better product, and better for me equals a more competitive product where teams were taking the floor with a chance to win based on the talent, skill, and players that they had on the roster, and B, you had teams that were ready to compete in the playoffs even if they weren't able to beat those 2 teams.
Now,
I think now,
because we don't have that much time. This is what I always, when Jimmy and I get into these arguments, and he always brings up the point that, over the last 25, 30 years, only such and such amount of teams have won the NBA Finals. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what other people argue about, but I've never in my life spoke of parity. I've never in my life said that the NBA was a league of parity back in my day. What I speak about, and it's kind of what you just said, what I speak about is a watchable product. Even though we may have known that the Lakers and or the Celtics were going to be the representatives in the NBA Finals, we could watch basketball on a nightly basis and see better competition. You know what I'm saying? It's not boring to watch a basketball game because there's only a few teams that's worth watching. And that's where I think we are in today's league, even though I think this particular season was great probably because of all the legendary performances by some individuals. But at the same time, with all the guys wanting to play together, I still think it's a bad thing for the league. I never in my life said anything about parity because winning the championship is winning the championship. And there's not a lot of teams in the NFL that's built to win the championship year after year, the NBA. But there are enough teams in the NBA and enough talent in the NBA where we should be able to tune into an NBA game on any given day of the week and see a good product. But we will talk more about this because it's a big hot button issue, and we're going to continue to, put nails in it until we finally finish this structure that we're working on. So everybody, you know how it is. You know what it is. Thank you all for joining us for another briefing in the War Room. Shout out to everyone in the chat room on Facebook and Twitter and all the callers who called in to holler at us. Tune in next week, live right here on demand on the WRS Podcast Network for our live 2017 NBA Draft episode. So until then, enjoy your weekend of sports. Enjoy your week. We'll see you right back here next time. Be sure to catch our conversations on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our blogs, webcasts, and network podcasts on warroomsports.com. Also, you make sure you pick up Jimmy's book at sportsthebook.com or warroomsports.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance. And we'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8 they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, PJ, Doc Bay, B. Austin. I'm Jock. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.
Hi, you've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, sweetie.
Dad? I told you not to call me at work.
But I need some style advice.
Just go to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, all men's styles are on sale now, up to 50% off, with shorts from $12 active from $8 and tees from $5 at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
$5?
Plus, the whole store is up to 50% off, so you can get amazing styles for everyone, even me.
Going to Old Navy now.
Oh, and make sure you get something for Father's Day, my treat.
Thanks.
High Fashion, Old Navy. Valid 6/12 to 6/20. Excludes clearance, gift cards, register lane items, jewelry today and 2-day only deals. Hi, you've reached the High Fashion Hotline.
Hi, sweetie.
Dad? I told you not to call me at work.
But I need some style advice.
Just go to Old Navy.
Old Navy?
Yep, all men's styles are on sale now, up to 50% off, with shorts from $12 active from $8 and tees from $5 at Old Navy and OldNavy.com.
$5?
Plus, the whole store is up to 50% off, so you can get amazing styles for everyone, even me.
Going to Old Navy now.
Oh, and make sure you get something for Father's Day, my treat.
Thanks.
High Fashion, Old Navy. Valid 6/12 to 6/20. Excludes clearance, gift cards, register lane items, jewelry today and 2-day only deals.